In the history of ice hockey, there are a few names that resonate with as much power and passion as that of Maurice Richard, a man whose life story is as compelling on his ice exploits. Maurice Richard, a name that echoed through hockey arenas with a singular belief: he was only a hockey player. With a laser-like focus that spared no mercy, he unleashed his unstoppable force from the blue line and aimed for the league's nets with unwavering determination, relentlessly stuffing them with rubber night after night. Join us as we travel through the fascinating life of Maurice Richard, a man whose influence on the game continues to this day and fascinates hockey fans all over the world. In this video, we'll discuss Maurice Richard's achievements, challenges, and victories. In the shadow of Montreal's bustling city, a young Maurice Richard emerged from humble beginnings. Born into a low-income family, Rich's parents made a bold decision to leave their grass roots behind and seek a new life in vibrant heart of Montreal. It was in the Bordeaux suburb, nestled close to Ville-Saint-Laurent, that the seed of his hockey destiny were sown. Maurice first played hockey with his school team and later with the local neighborhood squad. While pursuing a machinist career at Montreal Technical School, Richard's commitment to hockey never wavered. In Parc-les-Fontaines, he showcased his skills, leaving spectators and rival teams astonished. The whisper of Richard's prodigious talent spread like wildfire. The allure of his skill was undeniable. He had such obvious talent that several other teams wanted to sign the left winger to their roster. Since he could only play for one team at a time in a given season, he chose different names so that he could play hockey every day. He was introduced to junior hockey in 1937-1938. At the time, he was a member of Paul-Émile Paquette's team, which was captained by Georges Norchet, who would later become his brother-in-law, and coached by Paul Stewart. Richard was able to make his impact with his squad during the 1938-1939 and 1939-1940 seasons, thanks to Stewart's advices to the Verdun Maple Leafs trainer, Arthur Therrien, to meet the young talent. With anticipation filling the air, Maurice Richard signed off his first professional contract with the Montreal Canadiens. Little did anyone know that this movement would mark the beginning of a legendary career. Richard burst onto the scene in the 1942-1943 season, making an immediate impact as a rookie. His explosive speed, deadly accuracy, and fearless style of play quickly endeared him to fans and teammates alike. The left winger's uncanny ability to find the back of the net set him apart from his peers, setting the stage for a remarkable journey ahead. As the season unfolded, Richard's star continued to rise, and he cemented his place as one of the most dominant players in the league. His offensive prowess was unrivaled, and he shattered records with astonishing regularity. The crowd's roar reached a crescendo each time he stepped on the ice. Knowing that they were witnessing a living legend in action, the 1942-43 season ended early for Richard when he broke his ankle on the 27th of December. Despite the 5 goals and 11 points he had accumulated in 16 games, his frailty was causing some concerns among fans of the Canadian. He earned the moniker The Rocket from his teammate Raymond Gitliffe, who was astounded at how quickly Richard outperformed him. He scored 32 goals in 46 games with Hector, Toe Blake, and Elmer Lack, with whom he came up with the well-known punchline. He scored 12 goals in 9 games during the playoffs to help his teammates defeat the Blackhawks and win the Stanley Cup. The Habs had won the Stanley Cup 5 times, but this was their first ever since the 1930-1931 season. The 195-pound Rocket, who stood 5 feet 10, had achieved stardom. He was the player that was most focused on scoring out of everyone. Nearly nothing could stop him between the blue line and the net. The goalies could sense the fire in his eyes. He was willing to use his fists or even his teeth to exact revenge on anyone who got in his way. He scored 45 goals in 1946-1947, earning him the Hart Trophy as the league's most valuable player. His critics had to acknowledge the truth and gave him praise. Such was Richard's exceptional talent that even Conn Smythe, the mastermind behind the Toronto Maple Leafs' success, was captivated. Smythe repeatedly attempted to acquire Richard, going as far as to make a staggering offer, reaching up to $135,000. It was a testament to Richard's status as the best player of his time. In the face of tempting offers, Maurice Richard's loyalty to the Montreal Canadiens remained unshakable. His skill, dedication, and unmatched talent propelled him to the pinnacle of the sport. The NHL Canadian dominated the 1950s, and the Rocket enjoyed unprecedented popularity. 10 years in a row, the Montreal team reached the Stanley Cup Finals and took home the trophy 6 times. As the Canadiens reached the Stanley Cup Finals year after year, Richard's star burned brighter than ever. The team's triumphs became synonymous with his on-ice brilliance, and his popularity soared to stratospheric levels. A nation of Canadians, united in their admiration, witnessed Richard's awe-inspiring performance firsthand, thanks to television, with every game broadcasted into living rooms across the country. Richard's iconic moments were etched into the collective memory of a grateful nation. As he shattered records and left opponents in his wake, his impact resonated far beyond the confines of the hockey rink. One such record-breaking moment came on November 8, 1952, when Richard surpassed the previous milestone set by Nelson Robert Stewart, a former Maroons player. With the 325th goal against Chicago, Richard etched his name into the history books, surpassing the 324-goal record and further solidifying his status as a hockey legend. In 1955, a fateful incident during a game against the Boston Bruins sparked an outburst of emotion that reverberated throughout the hockey world. When Richard noticed the blood streaming from his head, he felt angry. He charged at Laco, wielding his stick like a weapon. The linesmen valiantly attempted to intervene, but in the midst of the chaos, one of them, Clifford B. Thompson, found himself holding Richard from behind, while Laco continued his assault, desperate to break free. Richard resorted to a shocking act. In a moment of confusion and fueled by his fervent determination, he turned and struck the linesman. He believed it was a Bruins player who was restraining him. The official's beige sweater, striking him similar to the Bruins' yellow one, contributed to mistaken identity and found himself suspended for the remainder of the regular season and playoffs. This decision by the league fueled a wave of protest, igniting what would be known as the Richard Riot and demonstrating the profound impact he had on fans of the city of Montreal. The aftermath of the incident reverberated throughout the league. In the following season, a new era dawned, as the officials donned striped sweaters that would eliminate any potential misidentification. The Rocket won a lot of rewards, despite the fact that a player typically had to wait 5 years after retiring before receiving such honors. He was inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame in 1961. Additionally, the Canadiens retired the number 9 right away. The Madison Square Garden Hall of Fame in New York has a plaque with his name written on it. He received a long-standing ovation from the audience that lasted about 15 minutes. The Rocket was soaring on the enormous screen in the middle of the rink. He was inaugural receipt of the Rocket Award, given to the NHL player with the most points during a season. Even after retiring from professional hockey, his contributions to the game, both on and off the ice, continued to inspire generations of players and fans.